Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope that everyone is fine. So welcome to the CPD online under CADe, Pusat Pembangunan Akademik. Today we are going to have a very important, I think very interesting and important topic about the teaching and learning. Okay, so I hope that everyone being excited to listen to this kind of the topic. All right, so the topic will be boosting teaching and learning effectiveness via research, innovation, intellectual property, and knowledge exchange. Okay, so before I introduce our invited speaker, so I would like to inform a little bit about the housekeeping. All right, so I hope that everyone will mute themselves. Okay, and also if you have any questions, then you can write in the chat. So we will open for the Q&A at the end of the session. So we'll let the speaker to share the lecture first, and then after that we will open for the Q&A. But in the meantime, if you are willing to, you have any question, then you are free to write in the chat box. All right. So today I've been assisted by Encik Azri just now, and also we also have here is Professor Madia Dr. Wan Marzuki Wan Jaafar, and also of course the very our guest speaker, which is Prof. Samsilah Roslan. Okay, so before we start, I would like to share a little bit about Prof. Shamsila, which is I think is a very impressive biography that I have read just now. But there are some of the acronym which is I don't know the meaning actually, because I think maybe it is very highly professional. I mean it is a kind of international organization which is I'm not so familiar. But maybe later we can ask Prof. Samsila what is this kind of organization, which is I'm pretty sure that I think her expertise is very well known worldwide. Okay, so let me read the biography of the Prof. Samsila. Prof. Samsila has completed SRI international trainings in 2011, and then and the IP and Technology Commercialization Program at the Licensing Academic School of Law, UC Davis in 2013. And between 2013 until 2019, Prof. Shamsila was appointed as the Director of Putra Science Park, PSP, in University Putra, Malaysia. Working on a hybrid model of Science Park and TTO, PSP has managed to become the nucleus at the university for scientists, researchers, industrial collaborators, and funders to develop many technology ventures. Prof. Shamsila has led more than 100 negotiations with multinationals, large corporations, and SMEs. Apart from the commercialization achievement, UPM was named 6 times winner of National Best Organization in Intellectual Property Management by MyIPO. Prof. Samsila was also involved in the setting up of the Innovation and Technology Managers Association, ITMA, in Malaysia, and she is currently the president. Okay, she and her team from ITMA have conducted trainings to more than 500 innovation technology managers from Malaysian public and private universities, polytechnics, as well as other local agencies. She has also conducted 3 sessions of international training funded by IDB for OIC countries, which was attended by participants from various OIC countries. In 2016, she was appointed as consultant to entrepreneurship education, OIC CECE. In February 2019, she was appointed by MESTEC /MOSTI as the head of National Tech Venture Blueprint and Assessment of Technology Transfer in Malaysia. She's also a member of National Task Force and committees related to commercialization of innovation in Malaysia, including the Malaysia Industry Academia Lab, MyLab, Guideline for Technology Commercialization Committee, CIRIM, and Task Force on Integrity in Commercialization under Ministry of Education. Prof. Samsila is also actively collaborating with WIPO on the Enabling IP Environment Program, IEE. She is a registered Technology Transfer Professional, RTTP, and is currently one of the council member of Alliance of Technology Transfer Professional, ATTP, based in Glasgow. She is currently the Dean of Faculty of Educational Studies in UPM. I think based on their biography, I think we know that she is really, really expert in the area that she's going to talk about. So I think I think maybe we don't have to waste our time. So without further delays, so the screen is yours, Prof. Samsila.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you so much, Dr. Zatul Hima, respected Director of CADe, Associate Professor Dr. Wan Marzuki, Wan Jaafar, all wonderful guests today, professors, doctors. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, okay. So thank you so much for inviting me to the session today. I know this is something that sounds a little bit not the usual thing because we are trying to cross several disciplines, but I think it is high time that we start talking about the impact and how we can make our research innovations more impactful, not just to the recipients of technologies and innovations outside of the university, but also to our own students, helping to boost their research and their learning. So I would like to ask you all permission to share my slides. Okay. So with kids' help, actually, we have crafted this idea of boosting TnL or technology and learning teaching and learning effectiveness via research innovation, intellectual property, and knowledge exchange. So these are research innovation, IP, and knowledge exchange are always discussed together. And I have been involved in this endeavor for quite some time. And a lot of discussions, a lot of activities are already conducted, but I think we kind of did really look into how we can use this information to help boost TnL effectiveness. So I would like to bring all of you to look at the basis of effective teaching and learning. So Ausubel, one of the prominent figures in educational psychology, which is my area of training actually, has come up with this idea and this big construct or theory called meaningful learning. So meaningful learning actually involves understanding at a level, understanding whatever that is learned at a level where all the pieces of an entire concept fit together. When students are able to reach that level of learning, when the learning become meaningful to them, then the knowledge that they gain can actually be applied to many situations. And this kind of learning will stay with the students for life. So I think we all would like to strive for this level of learning in our students. Not just at the level where they can answer exam, which is already we are struggling with that, but also at the level where they can apply to many situations, and at the level where they actually embrace lifelong learning. They embrace that knowledge and they can bring that knowledge with them and to make things better in life, make the world a better place. I mean, that sounds cliche, but actually, at the end of the day, we want to make the world a better place, all of us. So, if I may just start with a very short survey, if it's okay with everyone. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Slido. So I would like just to have a very short survey with everyone using Slido. So if you have your handphone or any type of device, could you please just go into slido.com, sli.do, and key in this code, hashtag 239608. So you just type sli.do, and key in the code, and you can start answering the question. Okay, can you all try? Anyone has any problem, you can ask me.
Prof, maybe you can share the code again. Some of them miss.
Okay, can I write it in the chat?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Let me. I I have to stop share before I can write a chat. Actually, this is the code. This is the code. Hashtag 239608. Can you all see? So just type slido.com and key in this code.
Okay. Right. I will try. I will write in the chat so that others can also.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ratan. So let's see, we have 5 participants so far. Okay. Just we want to see, okay, 7. Okay, so I think you actually can guess or see your level of effectiveness based on the comments from the students at the end of the courses. So it's okay if we think that, you know, our teaching is very effective, that's good, or effective, and it can always, you know, we can always use new knowledge to make our teaching super effective. Okay.
Maybe some of them be humble that said that can be.
I know. Okay, I'm going to just move on to the next question. So we can see many are very humble and they want to improve. So the next question is, how interested do you think your students are in the subjects you are teaching? Very interested. Great. I'm so happy. Okay. So I think most of us are facing this situation where sometimes they are interested in several topics, and some topics they find it very dry and not interesting. So that can be kind of a challenge to us as instructors or facilitators of teaching. Okay, wonderful. So we can see many are very interested. So the next question is the one that I'm most interested in. Is this, you have to like you know, type your answers here. What do you think will make the students more interested and engaged in the subjects you are teaching? Interaction, great. Creativeness, wow. Storytelling, more interactions. So Slido is one form of interaction that I find easy to use in Zoom platform, because, you know, if we want to ask everyone to give you know, verbal response, sometimes it's quite kelang kabut, you know, you want to see who's trying to give feedback. Okay, interaction, interactive, great. Variety approaches, real world application, wonderful. Teamwork, teaching method, more quiz and games, yeah. Okay, creativeness. Let's see. We'll wait for a few more answers. Interactive, interaction. So isn't it an irony that, you know, when we do online teaching and learning, the biggest limitation we have is interaction, right? That's why we are struggling with online teaching and learning. Our students are also struggling with online teaching and learning because of the limited interaction that we have. we can ask them to ask questions, but it's never the same. Yeah? Content, application of concepts, real life experience. Okay. Joke, great. That's so real. Okay. Professionalism. Maybe we'll wait for 1 or 2 more. Yeah. So I remember I have a professor who has a book of jokes. So I think he is trying very, very hard to, because he's teaching a very dry subject. Psychology can be very dry because you have to keep imagining abstract things. And he has a book of jokes where he actually, you know, take out one joke and share with us whenever he feels that we are starting to drift away from the whole discussion. But what's funny is that his joke was never related to whatever he's teaching. So, you know, it's like he's teaching and then there's a joke and then he teaches and then another joke. So that's very a funny experience for us students. A friend of mine actually wrote down all the jokes and made a compilation, but none of us really, you know, can really relate the jokes to the content of the course. So that's an interesting story that I can share with all of you. So I think, yeah, a lot of us talk about application, interaction, so on and so forth. Many actually say interaction, but I think that is the part that we are all struggling now because of the limitations. Yeah, we can't really see the students, and some students cannot even you know, switch on their camera, and when they want to give opinions because of, you know, the nature of online platforms. It is difficult to gauge who is trying to say what. You know, you cannot have several people at the way we normally do in normal classes. Okay. So I want to focus on one aspect apart from, you know, many of the aspects mentioned. Several did say about application to real situations. So this is very much related to meaningful learning, where the theory says that whenever students are able to see how this knowledge can be applied, either in real life, either, you know, in future situations, then only the theory, the learning can be meaningful. So I think that's very logical. Yeah? It's common sense. If we can't see how this knowledge relates to whatever we are doing, how this knowledge can be applied, first, our level of learning is just very basic. I mean, we don't go into very deep, yeah, in understanding whatever is learned. Secondly, we will easily forget it. Yeah, if there's no meaningful learning, we cannot remember because the way the memory is stored is at semantic level. It is very basic. It doesn't go deep into application level. Okay, in our brain. So that is why the challenge for all of us is to help students to see and be able to implement the knowledge that they have learned into real situations. Either the implementation is real implementation or a simulated implementation. Yeah? But at the end of the day, they must be able to see how it can be implemented. So in a nutshell, lessons will be meaningful when students are able to see and form relationships between theory and practice. When sometimes we, you know, I ask people about, or we discuss among our colleagues about real world problems, and we say, okay, we have solutions A, B, C. But then as we continue discussing, we realize that our solutions cannot be implemented because situations A require certain assumptions to be met. Solution B requires certain things to be in place. And these situations and these settings that must be in place are not there in the real world. So we say we cannot implement our solution until and unless assumptions A, all these assumptions are met. So it means that our solution does not fit into the problem and we are not solving the problem. So we have to find a way to get our students to understand the ecosystem of the real world. because then only they can start working on ideas that are workable, because these are the ideas actually take into consideration the running of the ecosystem. You know, if we don't do that, we are actually detached from the real world, and we are just saying that, okay, this is my solution, and if you want my solution to work, you must make sure all these are in place, when in the real situation, these things are not in place. So we're not solving the problem. We are just, you know, coming up with hypothetical solutions that are not workable. And if we don't help our students to start working from now on, understanding the ecosystem, finding solutions that will fit into the ecosystem and solve the problem, I don't think our students can start moving into that level of learning where it is meaningful. Okay. So that brings me to the whole idea of innovative thinking. Yeah? So what we want, when our students, I already mentioned, when our students learn something, we want them to apply the learning into situations outside of the classroom or outside of the university. But the nature of things now in the world, we are facing more and more unpredictable challenges, what we call VUCA challenges. VUCA challenges in the VUCA world, challenges that are volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And COVID-19 is a crystal clear example of this VUCA challenge. You know, our students in Faculty of Educational Studies learn day and night about how to become effective teachers in the classroom, face to face, and suddenly they are out there having to teach children through online platforms. Totally unpredictable, very volatile, because, you know, drastic, and it requires a lot of improvisation. So this is where we need a lot of ability to do innovative thinking and adaptability and agility. So that is why from now on we have to start exposing our students to the whole idea of being innovative in applying whatever they have learned. So study level, the first level I was talking about bringing them into application, understanding the ecosystem and apply. And the next level is understanding when the ecosystem are challenged in such a way, how do you become innovative in applying? So this involves a lot of innovations and innovative thinking. And when we talk about innovations, innovative thinking, and so on and so forth, it is related to intellectual property protection, knowledge exchange, and so on and so forth. So that's why I try to tie in all these things. So actually, when our lecturers and our students, so basically these innovations are created by our lecturers and our students. Datin Paduka Setia, Dr. Aini Idris actually came up with this innovation, I think, from her earlier days as a student. So many of the things that we have generated at the university are the work we do together with our students, and we talk about applying them into real situation. So but many people ask me, why can't it be commercialized? Commercialized means we apply, we are already able to apply the solution to real world, so it's commercialized. So when we say why can't it be commercialized, it's the same thing as saying why can't it be applied in the real world. Kalau tak boleh commercialize, mesti tak boleh apply lah. So that's why when we talk about applying innovations in the real world, you know, whether we want or not, we have to talk about IP and commercialization. Yeah. So apart from the technologies that we have at UPM, that some of them are already, some of them are already being utilized by the public and the industry. We have many from other universities. I just picked this sample from because I think this is a very good sample of application of research findings. So this is a chatbot project by commercialized by a startup called Filix. And it is actually being utilized by 8 ministries in Malaysia. Yeah. although many people don't really know, but it's being utilized by 8 ministries. It's very fast. Even UPU is using this chatbot. So if you explore UPU chatbot, you're actually using this engine from Okay. So this is what we want. We want solutions. Can you imagine, I'm sure you've heard students complaining when they want to, register, especially graduate students. They want to register. They had lots of issues and nobody's picking up the phone. Nobody's answering their emails. Yeah. So imagine, if we implement this chatbot, just like UPU, you type a question and within 2 seconds, dia memang dua saat je. Within 2 seconds you get the answer. And this chatbot is using AI, and they keep building on the on the questions and the answers that they have. So they get smarter and smarter and smarter. And at the end of the day, almost all questions they can actually already provide the answer. So tak adalah, the students become very stressed out because who's answering my question. And students nowadays, knowing students nowadays, because they live in the jungle of information, which means that there's a lot of information online, they become blinded. They couldn't find information online. Although a lot of the questions they ask, sometimes the information is already in certain websites, but they couldn't find it. That's why they still need people to respond, and that's why we need this kind of solution. So this solution is superb because it addresses the issue that many ministries are facing. A lot of people are asking questions. They couldn't have enough officers to answer the questions, so they use this engine. And it is so when we talk about software, kita selalu cakap pasal the incompatibility and so on and so forth, but that's already sorted out. Yeah. So when we want to make sure that the knowledge that we generate, we explore and study at universities are being implemented, we normally use the term knowledge transfer, kan? We normally say knowledge transfer, we transfer knowledge. Or we do technology transfer, we create a technology, we transfer the technology. But ATTP Council Meeting 2019 has actually decided that the best word to use is knowledge exchange, and in fact in EU, they also use knowledge exchange. Yeah? Why knowledge exchange? Because a lot of the knowledge that we build together, and when we work with industry or society, it's not one way. Kan tadi kita cakap pasal interaction apa semua, it's always exchange. We share with them some solutions, they will share with us information about the ecosystem and how together we can customize the knowledge or the technology to fit into the ecosystem and make sure that it runs well. So it's always knowledge exchange. Dia tak boleh, takkannya kita bagi satu solution terus implement dan berjalan dengan baik. Ya? Biasanya tak macam tu. Dia mesti ada feedback daripada semua parti. We need feedback from everyone before we can actually customize and optimize the knowledge so that it runs well in that kind of ecosystem where we want to implement it. That's why kita pakai knowledge exchange. Yeah? So we respect all parties involved. So kita guna knowledge exchange, KE, KT, PT. Okay. So when we look at this whole idea of the university as technology or knowledge provider, and the company or industrial partner as manufacturer, this is because the whole setting or setup of these entities tailored towards that particular role. Yeah. So kalau university nak commercialize, maksudnya university yang nak manufacture dan nak jual, dia tak sesuai because kita punya the nature of the way we are set up, the way things are run, yeah, in the management of the university, it is not suited for business world. But it is suited for creating and generating knowledge and technology. Whereas company, dia orang tak sesuai untuk generate knowledge and technology. I know some big companies might have the R&D wing, but still they will not be able to compete with university in terms of knowledge generation because of their setup. Yeah. I wouldn't go in depth into this, but that's the way it is. So that's why we have to work together. Yeah. So everywhere I go, people say that to commercialize, kita kena suruh orang universiti bercakap dengan orang industri. Dia kata ni tak bercakap ni sebab tu tak boleh commercialize. Well, yes, to some extent we need to talk. But it's not as simple as that. There's a lot of other things that need to be sorted out. But yes, we must start with the university and the industrial partner talking to each other and discussing about how we can together find ways to implement whatever is generated in the university in a sustainable business model to be run by the company so that it can be commercialized. So what does commercialization means? Kalau saya cakap commercialization, semua orang cakap nak suruh jadi kaya, nak suruh jadi jutawan. Actually, those are just byproducts of commercialization or potential, benefits, but not necessarily so. What's most important about commercialization is it will allow the mass production of the solution. So as universities, when we come up with a solution, we cannot do mass production of the solution. We can come up with several units saja, which means that people or the beneficiaries of that solution can be very limited. Tak ramai orang akan dapat ni. Sekarang ni COVID vaccine kan, itu pun tak cukup. With all the big companies producing pun tak cukup. Yeah? So we must get companies who are in the business of mass production to mass produce the solution. Yeah? Barulah kita boleh pastikan seramai-ramainya orang dapat access kepada solution tersebut. So that is what it means by commercialization. Commercialization is very important to complete the cycle of R&D. Yeah. So when we get taxpayers' money to do research, the taxpayers, the people who entrusted us with this responsibility, expects the solution from us. Yeah. And that's why lepas kita buat fundamental, kita publish, kita go for apply, it will take time, but at the end of the day, akhirnya we have to provide practical solutions to the nation. And the solutions can only be mass produced by industrial partners. Yeah? Best produced by industrial partners. But industrial partners have a different anatomy. That is why we have to understand how they function and before we can actually work together. And they also have to understand how we function. Yeah? So when things are done in the right way, inshallah, yeah, we will be able to get the solutions to be out there, yeah, for people to get benefit from it. So actually, if we look at, if you all have any question, you can just stop me. Aku Dr. Zaka boleh bantu saya sempat baca juga chat. So when we look at the benefits of commercialization and knowledge exchange and knowledge transfer, kita tak nak cakap sebenarnya, we do not want to so much focus on the amount of money that the individuals or the researchers will get or the university will get, sebab it kind of divert us from the real purpose of commercialization. The real purpose of commercialization is not to make university rich. Sorry, I have to mention this very clearly. It's not to make the university rich. The real purpose of commercialization is to help create or come up with solutions for as many people as possible outside there. Yeah? For example, here you can see this is from US, autumn, 200 plus drugs and vaccines developed, and innovations disclosed 420,000. And apart from that, we also want to boost the country's economy. So whatever solutions that we want to commercialize, it will help to generate the economy of the company, create more companies, create more jobs, 5.9 million jobs, contribute to US gross domestic produce, product, gross industrial output, and at the end of the day, will be put back into the country's coffers. Nanti boleh balik semula kepada R&D kita di public university. Yeah? So that's why we as universities must understand this, that knowledge exchange, knowledge transfer, commercialization is our responsibility. just like teaching and sharing knowledge. Kita kena buat ni supaya kita complete this cycle. Yeah, it will benefit the society and the economy. Okay. So US memang pakai technology transfer. Yeah, they use technology transfer. Okay, UK dia pakai knowledge exchange. So at the end of the day, with the knowledge exchange, knowledge transfer, and commercialization of innovation, we hope to create, technopreneurs, drivers of innovation-based industries, solutions for a better world, and new businesses for a better economy for the country. Okay. So yang itu yang kita kena beritahu pada students kita bila kita mengajar. Whenever we teach, we try to link that to the implementation. Tak payahlah cerita panjang lebar, but at least they have an inclination or an understanding that whatever they are doing in the lab, it can possibly one day help to boost the country's economy and create jobs. As simple as that. Yeah? Supaya dia orang rasa, the meaning of what they are doing, meaningful learning. So when because of the nature of commercialization, that you have to work with industrial partner, you have to have IP protection. Yeah. Sebab kalau if you are your own company and you create an IP, you commercialize your own IP, you can just do trade secret, tak payah file patent, tak payah file apa, because it's your own. Yeah, you yang jaga. But when we work with an outside entity, we want to make sure that certain rights are being protected. Yeah, especially research rights, R&D rights. So can you imagine if you come up with an innovation and you tak protect, suddenly somebody outside there came up with the same innovation, mungkin secara tak sengaja lah, and they protected. When they protect, they get exclusive right. So you want to continue doing research on what you are doing, pun now you have to ask permission because orang tu dah claim dia punya exclusive right. Yeah. What more if it's your own, you tak protect and then you share. Lepas tu you nak buat continuous research, nak publish, you tak ada that ownership. Orang lain yang dapat ownership, you kena minta kebenaran dengan orang lain tu. So that is why IP protection is important nowadays, especially if what you have has commercial value. Not so much because kita nak commercialize, memanglah kita nak commercialize, but also to give us the freedom to continue doing this without having to infringe on other people's filed rights. Yeah, I hope I'm making sense. Okay, so because of that, we have to file IP protection. Yeah. And this IP protection dia very technical, dia banyak jenis, and it will help also the researchers to get some incentives. If it's commercialized, inventor will get certain percentage lah, according to UPM policy and many universities policy. Okay, worldwide the normal practice is that researchers will get 1/3. Yeah, researchers 1/3, university 1/3, and the school or the lab 1/3. Yeah, that's the normal practice. Tapi for UPM, I think we are very generous. We give about 2/3 to the inventors. Yeah. So that's about revenue sharing lah. Okay. So macam saya kata tadi, IP is very technical. That is why you have to consult the Innovation and Commercialization Office. Yeah. So kat mana di UPM ni is PSP lah. Yeah. Because they will advise you what's the right type of IP protection. Yeah, dia lain type, they protect for different things. Yeah, so if you don't protect it correctly, you might not be protecting your idea. Yeah, for example, patent will protect the function, tapi copyright protects the expression. Yeah, so if you have a function, tapi you protect in the form of copyright, dia tak protect the function, dia hanya protect the expression of the idea. Yeah, so it's very technical. I'm not going to go in depth into this, but get input from people what's the right protection so that you don't miss out on protecting your ideas. Okay, and sometimes we just go with know-how or trade secrets. Yeah, it's better sometimes because when you patent, you have to disclose. Yeah, sometimes we do not want to disclose yet because we are building on the knowledge with our students. Jangan simpan seorang-seorang, nanti buat, if something happens to us, tak ada orang boleh continue our work. So we have a team, and we together with the team building up on something. We might not want to share first. We want to build up until it becomes something that is really good, yeah, and can be implemented. Tapi janganlah simpan lama-lama, ya. So kena bincang dengan team when it is the right time to disclose. Okay. So this is the common model in Malaysia. Macam mana kita buat knowledge exchange, ya, atau technology transfer. So walaupun saya guna teknologi kat sini, but it applies to all knowledge juga, ya. So saya boleh katakan knowledge exchange lah, ya. So the university in Malaysia will have or will own the IP, they will pay for IP maintenance, they will handle infringements kalau ada report dan sebagainya. And then they will transfer the technology to outside company or their own spin-out company or startups. Yeah? Boleh je mana-mana. As long as dia company, dia mesti dia punya strap beranak company lah. Yeah? Tak kisah sama dia company dah sedia ataupun company yang baru ditubuhkan. And then what the transfer is in the form of rights, giving the rights to the company. Kan rights tu kita punya, rights on this IP ni kita punya. So kita give them the rights untuk satu duration, untuk satu some return in terms of monetary return ke apa. Give them the right to explore the commercial potential, and that itu satu je, give them the right. Tapi company ni tak pandai nak buat this knowledge, so we also need at the same time to get our researchers to work with the company in terms of teaching or trading them about the technology. So, and the company will put in money to buy the equipments, to get grants, to get regulatory approvals, to scale up, test, mass produce, getting market, so on and so forth. So, for company, it's important for them to see whether this business is viable or not, because they survive on business. Unlike us, kita business jalan ke tak jalan ke, gaji kita masuk setiap bulan. Tapi macam company, if they are going to put a lot of investment into something, they have to make sure that there's a return on investment and sustainable business model. Yeah? That is why they have to go to do market validation, market study, market strategy, identify market segments, and so forth, so that it can be the business. Tak apalah, kita tolong je, transfer, and hoping that the business will work and it can go to market. But one thing we as researchers have to understand is that sometimes yang kita punya, what we envision, as the ideal solution might not be practical. Again, I'm talking about, matching our solution. Always kita punya solution is the most ideal solution to the real world. Yeah. So if we come up with a solution that is perfect in terms of solving the problem, but it is too expensive, which means that if the company, nak produce this solution, they have to put up the pricing tu sangat tinggi, and nobody can afford it. So there's no business for the company, there will be no buyers for the solution, no users of the solution, and everything will fail juga. So that's why sometimes we have to understand, why companies take certain strategies. Maybe they will start, with first phase, buat something yang, a lower version of the solution, just to get, early adopters to try, and then, they can roll enough fund to, scale up and come up with a better solution. Macam tu lah, dia kena mungkin step by step, or maybe company will have to get some subsidy lah. Kadang-kadang kalau memang end user tak boleh beli tapi the solution is very good for the country, maybe the government will give some subsidy. So this is the solutions that the company will work on. We as researchers must respect that they are doing their business, and when I say that it doesn't mean that kita janganlah biarkan diri kita taken for a ride pula, we must be wary as well. So work with the experts from the university tasked to handle this, and they will advise accordingly. Okay. So as I've mentioned just now, many people thought that the moment kita suruh akademia bercakap dengan industri, mesti dapat commercialization. Well, it's not that, you know. There's a lot of issues with getting this to be happening. That's why I've been talking to many government agencies. Many government agencies are being set up as connectors or matchmaker. Kita connect, kita matchmake, dia akan commercialize. Not necessarily, you have to have people who are well trained and professionals in handling the collaboration. Ya, dia bukan jumpa terus settle macam tu tak ya. So ada banyak benda yang kita kena uruskan ya. For example, when solutions at the universities are being generated, we are at very low TRL, technology readiness level ya. Kan kita baru generate ya. So we start with basic principle, invention, and then maybe we go to proof of concept bila kita file IP ya. So it is at TRL 3. It is very far from the level where universities feel comfortable, where companies feel comfortable to start working on it ya. Company tak berani ambil TRL 3 ni is very risky. It can kill their business if it doesn't work ya. So normally they will come in when it's at TRL 6 or at least 5 ya. So 4 is the value of death ya. To jump from 3 to 5 ni, we have to have a lot of activities done. Of course kita banyak ramai orang cakap pasal value of death, so people come up with bridging funding lah apa semua. But it's not just about funding. You get the funding but you don't do the right thing with the funds, you won't reach the readiness level where it is compatible with the market juga. Yeah, it can be macam saya kata tadi lah, perfect solution at TRL 5 or 6 tapi tak compatible dengan market. So that's why you have to get industry to come in early yeah, to help. And then the VC culture in Malaysia. So when we want to scale up, of course kena ada investment lah yeah. And investment normally comes from venture capitalists yeah. So the way it is in the US, the venture capitalists, the VCs, they come in and they nak kata handhold tu macam lembut sangat lah. They kind of push you very aggressively so that you move on because they want to get their money back because they are using their own money. Dia nak mendapatkan investment balik. They will push the company. Researcher tak payah risau. They will push the company so that they become very aggressive in marketing and so on and so forth. But in Malaysia, a lot of our venture capitalists are public. Maknanya they are government agencies or semi-government. Yeah? So, and they the way the nature of their investment tu berbeza, yeah. But now we can see more. I mean, ITMA, my association, and our friends in Transfer, we have been talking to many. We have done many engagements with VCs in Malaysia. We are getting them to be more risk taking. Yeah. For example, there was one VC yang used to only invest in ICT because ICT seems to be the least risky, but now they have moved into deep tech. Yeah? Sebab kita kata kalau you invest in ICT, je what happens to deep tech? Yang kita duit R&D banyak pergi kat deep tech, yeah? Tapi tak ada orang yang nak invest sebab orang kata deep tech ni too risky. Yeah? And of course market validation, yeah? Very important. And I've mentioned just now the value of death. Yeah, so value of death kat sini sebab industri tak nak ambil. Researcher of course nak buat research lagi tapi research grant dah tak dapat because you've exhausted the research grant until you come up with a POC. But then you want to move on to the next level, you are not eligible yet for commercialization grant or pre-com grant. So this is where, when there's no money, there's no research activity for us. So that can be a problem. Yeah? So I think there's a lot of initiatives already done. In UPM, we have this InnoHub, yeah, specifically to cater for value of death. Other universities also have other initiatives. Yeah. So just now I mentioned so when we talk to our students, when we teach, trying to expose to them now that not just about we, the knowledge generators, the innovation providers, and also the potential takers who will commercialize the company, industry partner, but try to slowly introduce them to the whole ecosystem. So the ecosystem in knowledge exchange and knowledge transfer consists of many other parties. Yeah, I was mentioning just now that there are special group of people who are trained and who are experts in knowledge transfer or technology transfer, who can facilitate the journey throughout. So they are called technology transfer professionals or facilitators. Yeah, this group. So you must introduce students to this group. Yeah, I am quite worried that students think, oh, I have an innovation, I will do a startup, I will commercialize, and I become a millionaire. Yeah, it's not as simple as that, because innovation tu milik siapa legally. Yeah, and you have to sort out the owners and so on and so forth. So this part ni memang only technology transfer professionals can assist you with that. And of course, I've mentioned funders. We need funders, so we need to know who are the funders in our discipline. Yeah, in the kind of industry where you want to implement, not just your discipline, because sometimes you might create an innovation within your discipline, but it's applicable in many disciplines or many industries. Yeah, so you might want to know who are the funders in the ecosystem. Yeah, of those industries that you might want to work with, and of course the policymakers and agencies. I have come across situations where everything was perfect. To get all these four to work together is already a huge challenge. So there are situations where all these four are already working together very nicely, but then certain policies, certain regulations were not met, which hinder the final process of getting things to the market. For any products to be rolled out to market, there are regulatory processes that must be met. Yeah. So if you don't, so if they are just about tests, bolehlah kita quickly get people who do the test and get the regulatory approval. But if it involves fundamental things, like certain EU regulations stipulate that in the technology that you come up to produce something, you have to make certain ni. Kalau in the fundamental stage pun dah ada flaw yang tak meet EU regulation, so that's the end of the whole thing. Yeah, you have to start from the basic, balik from the fundamental, betulkan. So that's why from the early stage when we work with students, especially graduate students, also introduce them to the agencies, the policymakers, the rules and regulations locally and internationally that might be involved in the whole journey later on when they want to transfer their knowledge. Okay. So this is the funding ecosystem. Now we have so many funders in Malaysia. If people say that we don't have funding, I think it's just that we've not come up with the right strategy. Yeah, funding memang banyak. Yeah. Okay. So these are some of the policymakers. Of course, the main stakeholder will be Ministry of Higher Education. Yeah, Ministry of Higher Education. There are several people in the waiting room. Is Kate handling them? Sorry, saya tak sure because it appears on my screen. Okay, so Ministry of Higher Education and Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, they are actually taking into consideration all this as well. Yeah, so in Ministry of Higher Education blueprint, yeah, 2015-2035. Innovation ecosystem is already one of the shifts, and now they are doing assessment of the progress. So they are looking at how the universities are achieving this. Yeah. And of course, national policy on science, technology and innovation 2031-2030 has also incorporated all this. So the policies are there. Yeah. If you all are familiar with my STIE framework, the 10-10 framework, where they map the science, technology drivers to socioeconomic drivers. Yeah. So all these are beautiful blueprints, but again, how do you implement the ideas into what we are doing? Yeah, in our classroom, virtually or face-to-face classroom with our students. Yeah. You have to start exposing them to all this. Yeah. Even social sciences like education, yeah, we have education here. So our students should be exposed to how things are outside of the border of the classroom. Yeah, so that they have that meaningful learning, so that they understand that level, in terms of the relevancy between what they are doing now, learning now, with what will happen, outside there, or what is happening outside there. Okay. So most of the time, because of the lack of exposure at early stage, between people in the academia, researchers, students, with what's happening outside, there are a lot of issues when we want to do knowledge transfer, knowledge exchange. One is the integration of technology to industry or value chain outside there. That our technology our knowledge become disruptive to the way things are happening, because when we want to work on something, a solution, we did not take into consideration the value chain. So when we work with our students, especially graduate students wanting to produce a solution, start thinking about what is the value chain outside there, and discuss how we can seamlessly integrate this new technology or new innovation into the existing value chain. If we create the solution without having the value chain in mind, and then we want to just, try to push it into the value chain, it becomes very disruptive to the extent that perhaps it will be rejected, by the ecosystem. So that is why at the early stage, get our industry and ourselves to be familiarized. What is the value chain outside of the university when it comes to this solution? Value chain daripada awal lah, daripada supply of raw material, the even the logistics, how do you obtain, and then the distribution channel, and so on and so forth. Okay. So value chain kat luar tu very complex. So kat mana your solution tu? Sometimes kita punya solution tu macam terlalu generic, macam we come up with like a small portion of something for this smartphone, like a small portion, but we're talking as if we are producing new smartphones. We didn't talk about the whole thing inside the smartphone. And so itu yang I think we have to expose our students to. Okay. Secondly, another challenge that we need to have is a more facilitative ecosystem. I think this is at the level of university or ministry, but it helps to expose our students to the ecosystem so that they can see, which ecosystem that they need to work with, and who are the facilitators who can help them. Okay, so there will be legal ecosystem, legal because IP involves legal. We have IP law, and Act. We have IP court, that's legal, and then financial, and then the governance as well. Mismatch expectations. Okay, more times than not, this is the reason for failed projects. This is the most common reason for failed projects when we want to transfer knowledge to the real world. Because the expectations of the researchers are different. The expectations of the university is different from the researcher and different from the company. The expectations of the company different from everyone. So when you start working together, you found that there's a lot of miscommunication. There's a lot of things that you didn't expect. I thought you understand it this way, and then we say, another party say no, we understand it that way. So gaduh, and then tak berjaya. So that is why all these expectations must be put on table very clearly for everyone from the start. This is the role of the technology transfer facilitators. I mentioned just now the group of the facilitators, technology transfer professionals. This is their role. They will lay out all the expectations so that everyone is clear. Siapa yang akan bawa funding, banyak mana, who will do what, who will take care of the liabilities, who will do these responsibilities, where are the resources coming from, and so on and so forth. So all this must be laid out clearly. It's not as simple as kita sign, dua-dua sign, berjaya. No. Signing to just the starting of the journey that is, that you are going to embark on. Okay. And then this is also another important challenge is the redefinition of the purpose of knowledge and technology transfer. As I've mentioned just now, many times I'm going to mention again, everyone should start correcting their mindset that, when we commercialize technology or innovation, we are actually doing knowledge and technology transfer, which is our responsibility, and we are doing it because it is our responsibility, not because we are expecting a lot of monetary returns to the individual researcher and to the university. Yeah, that must be in place first. If we get monetary returns, then alhamdulillah, there's a bonus. But even if we don't get monetary returns, that is already our responsibility because we obtain R&D fund from the tax-based money. We must give back the knowledge we generate from that fund to the public domain or to the respective industrial partners who will ensure mass production of the solution to be given to the public. Yeah? So that kind of understanding must be in place, because if at the start of the collaboration everyone's talking about how many percent saya punya, berapa banyak untung saya akan dapat semua, when we've not even started, we're not even talk about the kind of money that everyone has to put in, the risk and so on and so forth, nanti dia tak bergerak, and then semua orang kata goodbye. Okay. So I just want to bring a bit more support to the whole idea that I have mentioned just now. There's this University Knowledge Exchange Framework, or CADe framework, done by the Macmillan Group for UK higher education sector, published in 2016. And you can see that the review focused on technology transfer. Alamak, tak cantik dia punya tulisan. Sekejap ya, saya sorry. Sorry. Okay. It says that okay. It says that actually there is a lot of things that we should look at when it comes to knowledge exchange. It's not just about the green lane. You can see the green lane, it is very small. That is commercialization of innovation. That's intellectual property income. Memang sikit. That will go back to the university. Memang sikit, because by nature, it should not go back to the university. It should go to the socio-economic development outside of the university, to the industry, to the country, and so on and so forth. But it doesn't mean that the university will not get revenue or return from the knowledge exchange. They will get, but not in that form. They will get in the form of, the biggest part here is the collaborative research that they will gain, contract research, CPD and continuing education, training, a lot of training, because new knowledge needs training, so our people will be training, consultancy, facilities and equipment related services, the facilities we have at the university that can be utilized, for services, for industries who want to start experimenting on these new equipments for the new technology, and regeneration and development program. Okay, so that is why it is most important. I know there are some very experienced people in this group today. I saw some names. If you can, share in your network, that it is important for everyone to understand when we try to measure the impact of commercialization of innovation, the impact of knowledge transfer and knowledge exchange, we should incorporate all this. UK has already incorporated all this since so many years ago. Then only your university will be able to see what are the real impact of doing knowledge exchange. Not just berapa duit ringgit licensing fee yang dengan royalty yang dia orang dapat. Okay. So I like this quote from this report. No country has found an approach to isolate specific drivers of performance in technology transfer. One challenge is the extreme skewing in any measurable outcomes of success in technology transfer. Stanford University, for example, noted that only three, Stanford, out of 10,000 technologies that it has licensed over 30 years have delivered significant revenues to the university. A recent feature from Columbia University Technology Transfer experts noted that approximately 0.5% of all currently active USA university licenses generated over $1 million per year. Okay, I do not want to mention anything, but if you look at the KPI, what is our KPI? So if we have to make sure that we touch base with what's happening in the real world, because if we put KPIs yang tak practical, it will actually jeopardize the process besar. The process tu jadi tak terjejas. So actually, when we mention success metrics, we have to understand that the success is actually outside of the university. That is why when we do all this commercialization, when we do knowledge exchange and knowledge transfer, we must rope in the regional or the state economic development unit, because they are the ones who get all this impact. So we bring them in, we ask them to invest, because the impact will go back to them. Okay. For the higher education institutions, it's only 5%. You get 5%, that's very good enough already for us, because the green lane is very small for us. But we will get from collaborative research. If industries are happy with working with us, they give us contract research, collaborative research, and students to train, so on and so forth. Okay. So at the end of the day, what we do in knowledge transfer actually involve a very complex process. Ini we enable technology venture value chain. So at university we do basic science and applied R&D. If at this stage we are already having highly prolific scientific community with strong industrial and community engagements and exposing our students to all this, inshallah we are ready, we are set to embark on a fruitful journey when it comes to commercialization. But we must go through this part where we work closely with technology transfer professionals or TTOs, okay? Because they are the ones who are going to do the technology flipping from science to business. If you don't flip to business, if you are not able to show that this have business potential and is viable for business, then it will not be taken up by an important key player, which is the industry. That's why, tapi we are not expecting all academics to be doing this. That's why kita kata you have to work with the TTOs, because TTOs are well trained to do this. They will do exploration in terms of technology venture. Of course, we have to do pilot and demonstration, scale up, and understand the regulatory and standards. But what's most important to me is that I think as academia, if you have this experience, at least for 1 or 2 technologies is good enough, or 1 or 2 projects, because you will bring that back in all of your other projects with all your students and also in your teaching, making it more meaningful, that experience. So to me, whether you are successful in doing this or not successful, it doesn't matter, but the knowledge, the experience, the skills are very, very useful when we do our teaching, research and supervision. That's part of our tugas hakiki. So very, very important to have this experience. So any of you here who have not had this experience working with this PSP and UPM, filing IP, exploring, the commercialization potential, by all means, please sign up. I'm sure PSP can cater for trainings related to all this, so that you get the experience that can be incorporated into the lessons to make it more meaningful to the students. And of course, once we have all this part, the technology transfer professionals will design a sort of technology development blueprint, yeah, so that and it's already market validated. Market validated ni because a lot of our assumptions are normally based on our limited knowledge of what is outside there. So kita rasa I will come up with something I'm surely people will buy. Most of the time that's not the case. People will not buy. Even if people want to buy, people want to know what's the pricing. There's only a certain pricing range that they will buy. Yeah, if that your offer is beyond that pricing range, people will also not buy. So that's about the end users. And then the industry themselves, who would want to invest in mass producing this technology? They want to look at a lot of factors before embarking on this journey with us. So that's why you have to do this so-called market validation. And then we will have the incubators to help build the new tech-based industry. And then there will be the high-tech VC, venture capitalists for business expansions and so forth. And then lastly, the tech venture industries. That's why in the 10-10 framework, STIE framework, they actually map the zone, industrial zone, based on the kind of knowledge generated at that particular zone. Yeah? For example, in Selangor, we are very strong in biotech because we have many universities working on biotechnology. So they actually map this economic activity for this zone related to biotech. Yeah? So that's how things happen when it comes to the bigger picture. But for us here, knowing the bigger picture and sharing this bigger picture with our students can help make our teaching more exciting and more meaningful to the students. Ada soalan tak setakat ni? Any questions?
So far tak ada soalan lagi.
Yeah. Okay. Should I continue?
Yeah, Prof.
Okay. So for actually, in a nutshell, for technology transfer to work, a lot of information needs to be included, which is information related to technology, law, business, and psychology. We have to understand technology readiness level, market readiness level, IP protection, IP management. Because in the journey of coming up with the end product, we almost never use the first prototype tu. Yeah, we always will develop further according to what's needed by the market, and then at the end of the day, normally you will end up even with new IPs or new patents. So the new IPs at the end of the day, we have to decide, the ownership based on all the people who have contributed to what's coming up with, that final version. And then industry engagement, market validation, the road to market, yeah, the determination of commercialization pathways, which pathway is better, do you like work with existing big companies outside there or smaller SME companies, or do you form startups and spin-outs? And then the landscape scanning and technology development blueprint. So all this, if we as lecturers who are working within, our area, in coming up with innovations, in, teaching students about certain knowledge and skills that will perhaps later on be used to come up with innovations. If we have this overview, not really master all the skills, but just have an overview of what happens in the outside world, it will help us and help our students to be able to see, how we can adapt and modify what we generate to make it more suitable to be applied in the outside world. Okay. So I have until here, but I do have some slides for additional questions. But can I allow for some questions for now?
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Prof. I think maybe we can open for any questions from the audience or from the participants. Okay, maybe while waiting for them, I think I have a question, Prof.
Yeah, see them.
All right. So because I know that it is important. I think it's very important topic for us.
Uh,
It is good to enlighten our awareness actually about the importance how we need to protect our IP innovation and make sure that we can also share, the experience of us with the students. But I think it's not really very a kind of common culture among academics. I think especially from the social sciences. So in your opinion, Prof, how can we expand the awareness among our academics, among the colleagues about this kind of effort?
yeah. So one um, one main factor that we must consider is that it helps with our teaching. Itu memang clear lah. And our students nowadays also, they sometimes are more well versed than us in terms of all these innovations and so on so forth. So it's just right that we equip ourselves with that knowledge. But more importantly, we at Research University, we are also researchers who have certain KPIs in terms of research. We have to have research continuously. We cannot, just teach and not have research. And when we want to do research, even in the social sciences, we have to get some grants, like some fundings. Yeah. And nowadays, the grant providers, the research funders, will normally look at our track record in terms of the impact of our previous research. How practical and to what extent have we actually managed to apply the results of the previous research to the society, the impact. Now I can see more and more research funders are being very concerned and cautious about this, because they want to make sure when they give new research funds that it will be generated into something that will benefit the public. So if we do not start working on having this kind of impacts from our research, we might end up becoming researchers who will not be given research grants, because we don't really generate something that can benefit the public. But when I say like benefit the public for social scientists, not necessarily like products, yes, we can have products, but we can also have other forms of impact that the public can generate from, in terms of, for example, certain manuals or modules, programs, the training programs for the public to utilize.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Prof, for that answering my question. So, yeah, any of the participants, if you have any questions, we also are live through the YouTube. I also check in the YouTube if there is any question. We also have participants, I think, from the private university, I guess, in the YouTube. So
Okay.
yeah, it's important. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There is no more.
No questions so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am not sure whether people are very much aware of intellectual property, so I do not want to go so much in depth into that. But I think this is more of just an awareness of how to utilize this knowledge from intellectual property and knowledge exchange to boost teaching and learning effectiveness. However, I notice a lot of questions were asked by researchers related to IP protection. Like what type of IP protection is more suitable for what they have generated. So maybe I can take some time to explain a bit more on that. Doctor, boleh ke?
Yes, feel free. I also would like to ask that question actually, because yeah, I think many people actually still not really understand. I only know how to protect our IP, our innovation.
Yeah. So at UPM, we have UPM IP website or portal where you can go and file for IP protection. So you have to understand the different types of IP that we have. So these are the common four types, but there are many other types as well. So the first one is patent, and patent actually protect certain function that is novel. So what's most important, that is novel and original. We cannot patent something that is already in the public domain. Yeah, means that it's already out there. Someone has come across it. Tak boleh. So we have to patent some very novel function based on our idea, and then when we file for patent, we will be given a filing number. So kita kena present dekat PSP dan sebagainya. And if it's approved, we will file to MyPo and will be given a filing number. So filing number ni belum dapat patent lagi, not granted yet. They will do some due diligence. They have to check, they have to send for examination. So the process is long. But in Patent Act in Malaysia, you can already start to embark on commercialization once you file for patent. Yeah. So filing for patent means you will protect the function, but it can be quite expensive when you want to pay for all the different stages. Dia bukan sekali bayar je, dia ada banyak stages, and it is territorial, which means that if you patent in Malaysia, you can only protect your exclusivity in terms of your rights on that function just in Malaysia. Kalau orang lain nak buat benda yang sama dekat Singapore ke dekat Thailand for example, we cannot stop them. Yeah? Unless we also patent in all those other countries. So kalau nak patent dengan banyak-banyak negara tu, dia dah jadi mahal lah. Ya? Setiap negara tu lain pula kita kena bayar. Ya? So that's why it is important to really decide which country we want to patent. Dan ini semua kita boleh dapatkan advice lah daripada either PSP ataupun mana-mana pihak lah yang biasa dengan the market of this type of product. Tapi macam saya kata lah, to me is.
Excuse me, Prof. There is a question in the YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, let me read the question from Siti
Yes.
Rina Mubin from APU Private University in KL. She asked a question that do you have any suggestion or ideas how to encourage private lecturers, especially in doing research?
Private lecturers to do research. Okay. Yeah, I understand that the research universities, they have to do research because we have individual KPI for researchers. And even the public universities in Malaysia who are non-ARIUs are also trying very, very hard to get their lecturers to do research. Some lecturers are not keen to do research because they signed up to be teachers and lecturers. But I think your question is very, very good because and very relevant to the topic today, because what makes you a good teacher and a good lecturer is when you are able to actually share your own experience exploring that particular knowledge that you are teaching. Yeah? Knowledge evolves, and nowadays knowledge evolves very rapidly. Yeah? So if you don't dwell in research activities, you are basically just teaching based on what you've read. Sometimes you don't even update your readings. The kind of passion, and the kind of the effectiveness of your delivery is different from when you yourself do the research. You compare macam ni lah, you see someone who has never cooked but only have read cookbooks teach you how to cook, compared to real chefs who have really cooked, and experimented with cooking. You can see huge difference, betul tak? Yeah? So it's the same with our students. If we have actually dwell ourselves in exploring the knowledge that we are teaching the students about and sharing them our experience doing research, our experience doing publications and rebutting or responding to comments from reviewers, for example, related to our research activities, our research report, the kind of the effectiveness and the depth of our sharing is very different. Yeah? And it will get the researchers to be, the students to be very engaged and even interested. So in my own experience, many of my students became excited to do research just because they heard my experience doing research. Yeah. So it's all about telling them that the importance of continuously exploring the frontiers of knowledge, because knowledge evolves very rapidly, and we have to continue really explore. So I guess by getting the researchers to, the lecturers to see the difference that it makes when you do research on the teaching, that is one way to get them to be excited to do research. But of course, again, the fastest way is to make it a KPI. But I don't think KPI is sustainable. KPI can be short-term solutions. The best solution is to get people to embrace the whole spirit behind doing research and what it entails in terms of making you a better academic.
Okay, I think maybe so far that's the question from the YouTube. I think maybe Prof can continue. I think the IP just now.
Okay.
Thank you.
I hope I have answered the question. So so that's patent. Trademark, normally for our researchers, we will trademark names or logo, right? Yeah, names or logo. But I don't think PSP will accept just any trademark or logo, because actually trademarks must have, must bring with it some business potentials. Yeah, so trademarks is actually used to protect the name of a certain business. Or the name of a certain product, if UPM itself is a trademark. So apa trademark UPM ni? UPM is the best in, for example, providing trainings in certain field, especially agriculture. So that's our trademark. So when you want to file trademark, you must know what this trademark is representing. Yeah. And this is, to me, trademark is a good way to protect when you don't want to patent. Because I've already mentioned, for patent is expensive and you have to disclose. Trademark you can actually use to protect your trade secret. Yeah. So you have a trade secret, you tak nak disclose, but you are able to convince the panels that your trade secret is very good and orang akan will search for it because there is certain quality, and because of that you will namakan dia or identify it with certain trademark. Yeah. So bila sebut trademark ni, orang tahu memang ni quality dia. Yeah. This particular product, whatever you're doing lah. It can be like, for example, training. So let's say you are very well known for your training in a certain area. So you want to trademark that training. Whenever people tahu nama this trademark, people know that the training is the best, then you can do the trademark. Yeah, because you tak nak disclose all the modules the training nanti orang ambil, for example. Yeah. Copyright actually protect the written or it can be pictures pun boleh, video pun boleh, tapi dia expression tu sendiri. Yeah. So if I have, for example, a questionnaire, I have explained, the constructs that I'm going to measure. These are the ways I'm going to measure it, the items, the statements. So these statements are protected. Somebody else can come up with a measurement of the same thing, but they must write it in a different way. Yeah? That is significantly different. Yeah? Kalau ada persamaan 90%, 80% pun tak boleh. Yeah? It must be significantly different. They can measure the same thing, but the way they are coming up with the statements and everything has to be significantly different, because we have copyrighted the way we are going to express the measurement. Sama juga macam gambar, lukisan, semua ni boleh copyright, video, ya. So we protect basically the expression, but we don't protect the idea. So let's say, for example, somebody came up with this idea that we can measure happiness. Ada kan, tapi let's just give an example. So we kata, okay, we can measure happiness, and that's why I'm going to measure happiness this way. Yeah, I gunakan macam ni, I gunakan certain questionnaire. Somebody else came up with the idea of measuring happiness, tapi coming up with different questionnaire or different way lah. Dia buat facial expression, dia ambil gambar, then dia boleh tengok orang ni happy ke tidak, for example, based on your facial expression, yeah. But still measuring happiness. So boleh, semua boleh buat function dia measure happiness, tapi dia punya cara tu berbeza. Sebab tapi tak boleh guna yang sama lah. Kalau sama tak boleh sebab ada copyright, ya. Tapi kita tak patent, ya. Kalau kita patent, orang nak buat tu pun tak boleh, ya. Sebab dah patent idea tu. Okay. In the industrial design is of course the design of that particular product. Ya, macam mana produk tu dikebentuk, yang tu kita copy, kita protect, kita protect. So somebody else cannot come up with the same design, but it can be the same concept. Same concept boleh, tapi design dia must be significantly different. Okay. So besides that, there are other types of IPs, integrated circuit layout, ada geographical indications, macam-macam. So the type of IP that you want to use will determine what type of exclusivity in terms of rights you have over the products. Okay. Ada soalan lagi? Ada?
No, so far.
Oh, interesting. Since one of our KPI is publication, can we publish on the topic prior to filing IPs? Okay, this is very interesting and common question. So, when we want to file IP, when we want to file patent, we must make sure that the knowledge is not in public domain. Kalau dia dah dalam public domain, maknanya kita dah publish, kita dah tak boleh patent. That being said, you have to find certain strategies, especially with students kan. Students dia nak kena publish before they can graduate. So you can take parts of the research ataupun thesis yang tidak berkait dengan benda yang you nak protect tu. That one you can publish. But at the same time go for protection juga. Actually for patent, dia tak lama kalau semuanya okay. If you respond quickly to the panels, comments, semua, dalam sebulan ke 3 bulan dah boleh settle untuk patent. Once patent you can publish all you want. Tapi selagi tak patent, kalau boleh jangan publish. Bukan kalau boleh, janganlah publish on the part yang you nak patent. Part-part lain tak apa, part-part lain boleh publish, tapi part yang you nak patent tu, the specific teknologi yang nak patent tu, yang itu jangan publish. Publish dulu, patent dulu, baru publish. Patent dulu part yang tu, sebab once you patent you boleh publish, tak rugi, boleh dapat dua-dua. Tapi once you dah publish that part, you dah tak boleh patent that part. So kita selalu cakap macam tu lah. Kalau boleh, strategize dengan student. Okay?
Prof, Prof boleh tanya soalan apa?
Sila Prof.
Okey Prof, saya ni ada berhadapan dengan ada satu situasi. Okey, pelajar saya ni dia buat modul untuk PhD dia. Okey, sekarang ni kita kalau dia nak mohon copyright. So tapi dia dalam masa yang sama dia takut nanti apabila dia dah habis belajar, dia nak publish dia punya modul tu tau. So meaning that dia nak dapat income lah daripada dia punya modul tu. So dia ada alternatif kan, dia boleh minta copyright tak melalui UPM. Dia bayar yang RM80 tu kat luar kan. Ada lagi caranya yang tak bayar melalui UPM. Jadi apa dia punya konsekuen dia lah, antara saya faham lah yang kalau dia melalui luar tu kita tak ada nak declare as kita punya copyright. Tapi in terms of dia ni nak jaga, kita macam kami ni pesyaran ni tak ada lah nak ambil income dia tu, tapi just cuma cara pemikiran dia tu yang kita rasa macam tak berapa betul lah.
Terima kasih Prof. Okay, thank you so much Prof. I think this is very important question, very important for all of us here today. Yang ni yang kita kena ajar student ni, yang kita kena explain, educate them. Pertama sekali ialah polisi universiti, polisi UPM ialah semua hak cipta intelek yang dihasilkan oleh pelajar-pelajar semasa mereka belajar di universiti adalah milik universiti. Sama juga kita yang kita buat as a researcher pun dia milik universiti. Tetapi bila kita file, universiti filekan, universiti akan letak nama kita sebagai inventor. So bila kita letak nama kita sebagai inventor, universiti bila commercialize akan bagi kita portion, perkongsian portion yang besar. UPM bagi besar perkongsian portion dia 2/3 daripada ni. Jadi kalau pelajar ini file dekat luar, dia dah melaksanakan satu kesalahan sebab dia tidak buat bertentangan dengan polisi universiti, iaitu apa yang dia buat dalam universiti ni semasa tempoh dia belajar adalah milik universiti. Yang mana universiti akan kongsikan dengan dia, letak nama dia, tapi milik universiti. Dia tak boleh fund sendiri-sendiri kat luar. Itu salah. Kita pun tak boleh fund sendiri kat luar. Sebab kita adalah employee UPM ataupun student UPM, apa yang kita buat milik UPM. Sebab kita takkan boleh buat tanpa fasiliti UPM, tanpa ekosistem dan support system yang ada dalam UPM. So itu yang pertama, dia tak boleh buat sendiri kat luar. Kita kena beritahu dia bertentangan dengan polisi UPM, nanti ada masalah. Dia kena panggil dan sebagainya. I think kena buat awareness lah. Maybe kid pun kena buat awareness. I notice ada student yang tak aware. Dia ingat apa yang dia buat tu milik dia seorang. Memang milik dia seorang kalau dia tak belajar kat UPM. Dia buat seorang kat rumah dia memang milik dia. Tapi kalau dia belajar kat UPM, lecturer ajar dia guna facility UPM, guna library UPM, guna a lot of things in UPM, dia jadi, and dia berdaftar student UPM, very much subsidized, dia milik UPM ya. Tapi jangan risau, walaupun namanya milik UPM, tetapi bila nak commercialize, sama ada dia commercialize sendiri setelah dia maklum kepada UPM atau UPM commercialize kan, dia akan dapat the biggest portion from the revenue generated. Tak ada masalah Prof. Beritahu dia sebenarnya dia lagi untung bila dia file di bawah UPM. Nanti kalau ada apa-apa grant, kan UPM ada grant InnoHub lah, grant pembangunan inovasi lah, apa semua, dia boleh apply sebab dia tu bawah UPM. Ya? Dan tak bermakna dia takkan dapat. Dia boleh commercialize je nanti kalau dia nak commercialize training tu. So modul tu nanti memang namanya modul UPM. Yang bawah nama dia sebagai inventor, dia buat sebagai student. Tapi lepas dia commercialize 2-3 tahun, dia improve lagi kan. Katalah masa tu pun dia dah ada company sendiri ke kat luar, dia boleh file yang di improve version tu pun pula dengan UPM. Maknanya sebelum ni 100% milik UPM, nama dia sebagai inventor, bermakna dia dapat dah 70%. Lepas ni second version upgraded, boleh file, boleh kongsi dengan UPM. UPM 50 dia 50 ke, UPM 40 ke dia 50. So dah lah dia dapat, katalah dia dapat 50, kemudian yang 50 milik UPM tu dia dapat 70% lagi. Tak tahulah saya make sense ke tak, saya punya calculation ni. So dia dapat banyak lah, UPM dapat sikit je. Sebab UPM bukan nak duit pun, UPM nak, bukan nak, UPM having UPM's name that is actually an honor for us. UPM tak kisah pun duit tu, tak penting pun bagi UPM sangat, sikit je, bukannya banyak pun nak generate, tapi having UPM's name there actually makes a lot of difference. Dia carry weight. Cakap dengan dia Prof, kalau dia nak commercialize esok pun, kalau dia tak nak guna nama UPM, dia nak jual nama dia je, susah mula-mula nak pergi market. Tapi having UPM name akan banyak membantu. Dia nak pakai nama UPM, kalau dia tak file copyright by UPM, dia tak boleh pakai nama UPM. Dia kena minta pula, kena bayar nak license guna nama UPM dan sebagainya. Lagi susah. Baiklah dia file setiap bawah nama UPM dan ikut polisi UPM sekaligus. Okey ke Prof? Prof Fauzi?
Okey bro. Boleh, nanti saya cuba explain dia. Kadang dia orang tak nak kena cakap.
Itulah kadang-kadang kita one thing yang everyone must realize is the whole process, we must get our students to understand also. The whole process of bringing something from the creation level to an impactful product outside there needs a whole team. Tak boleh seorang buat ke, 2 orang ke, tak jadi. Dia kena ada the whole key players, seperti saya kata lah. Kalau nak successful, kena ramai yang terlibat dan untuk bawakan. Dan kebanyakan orang-orang lain yang terlibat ni bukanlah orang yang ada interest pun. Dia nak membantu sahaja. Ya? So jangan takut sangat nak berkongsi sampai kita cut off semua orang dan kita sorang-sorang nak bawa, lepas tu tak boleh gerak. Ya? Sebab it's not easy to go to market. Simple thing, you nak be successful dalam apa-apa pun, you need nama besar. Sebab itu sekarang banyak company juga datang nak guna nama UPM, boleh tak nak tampal je nama UPM untuk produk dia supaya especially when it's related to agriculture semua. Kena bincang lah, tak boleh lah tampal-tampal macam tu je ya. Kena ada benda-benda yang kita kena buat. Sebab kalau dia bawa sendiri-sendiri dia macam tu je, siapa yang nak pandang? So going to market is never easy. Okay?
Okay bro.
Thanks Prof.
Bye.
Okay,
Ada
Prof.
soalan lagi?
There is a question in YouTube. I think the further question about the IP. Natasha Hadi, Prof, IP means that other people can't improve the features of the product?
No, other people can improve. Boleh, cuma if they want to use that technology, dia nak use in their own research ke apa ke, dia kena minta kebenaran. Kalau dia macam dia tak sedar pun somebody has come up with the technology, dia buat from scratch, lepas tu dia significantly improve to the extent that it is patentable, maknanya significantly different from yang dah ada tu tak ada masalah. Tapi kalau dia nak guna, dia dah tahu benda tu ada, kemudian dia nak guna dan nak incorporate dalam dia punya work yang maybe nak commercialize ke apa, dia kena minta permission lah.
Well, maybe that's from the, let me see. In the chat, Salam Prof, can you share based on your experience on how to get industry partner for potential collaboration, especially to get some sort of funding to develop a tool for learning from TnL?
Okay, this is very interesting. Sebenarnya kan kita selalu researchers rasa risau nak dapatkan partner, tetapi to tell you the truth, industrial partner sebenarnya yang rasa takut nak approach university lecturers. Sebab dia rasa sebab okay, jadi sebenarnya ada banyak projek-projek yang kita dapat sebenarnya researchers yang bawa. So there are several ways you can do this, how to get industrial partner. First of course go through PSP, ask PSP's help pun boleh. Tapi yang lebih cepat, is you search, sekarang dah ada Google, dah ada all the social media. You search for companies yang memang might be interested with what you are doing, and then you just kata, can we discuss, can we talk, so online pun boleh, pergi Starbucks pun boleh. Saya selalu macam tu je. Jom kita discuss. Yesterday I had a wonderful discussion. The discussion dengan industrial partner started with something, but we ended up with something that is very huge and very beneficial for us. Daripada sembang je. Tapi kena rajin sembang, like you ask, you probe potential benda yang kita boleh buat. Tapi jangan cerita semua benda, janganlah you jumpa you dah bagi semua cerita dan saya kata okay, terima kasih, cuci tangan, balik buat kan. So you kena trigger their interest, and you must show to them that they need you, that you bagi sikit-sikit, because tak boleh lah bagi semua ni universiti punya kan. Saya selalu cakap macam tu. Pernah industri yang datang bincang dengan saya semalam mula-mula, dia minta macam-macam. Saya kata bukan saya tak nak bagi, tapi ni IP universiti, so saya kena minta kebenaran. Tapi why not kita discuss dulu, discuss. Tiba-tiba dia dah excited kan, dia kita dah embark on a wonderful project, So it can be, you search, you just, say hello on dekat Twitter ke apa ke. Tapi tengoklah dia punya track record, and katakan we discuss. Or you get, saya selalu network lah, kawan atas kawan ke kan. Saya selalu cerita lah, you all have social media, you can cerita apa yang you ada, dan kawan you, I still have WhatsApp almost every day. People tanya, sebab walaupun saya bukan PSP, tapi sebab lama kat PSP, so orang ingat apa je teknologi nak cari tanya saya. So kat Malaysia ni macam-macam orang WhatsApp, Prof, ada tak teknologi ni kat UPM? Ada tak teknologi ni kat UPM? So kita tolong je lah, link kan. But then sometimes when the technology is related to our faculty ke our friends dekat faculty, kita boleh linkkan. But expand your network. Network with as many people as possible, and I think that's one of the best way lah. Yang penting kita tu, kepala kita tu, so bila orang cakap actually apa itu critical thinking, innovative thinking, being entrepreneurial, to me is the ability to see connections. You boleh connect dot, semua you nampak dot kan. The ability to see connections is very important, Kalau kita tak tengok sesuatu, kita cuba kaitkan. Biasanya orang yang kreatif boleh buat. Ya, insyaAllah orang kreatif boleh buat. You boleh kait, oh ni boleh kait dengan ni boleh kait dengan ni. Sometimes people yang almost like not related at all pun kita boleh cari kaitan. I never turn down sincere people who I feel sincerely wants to work on something. Even if it's for their own business, tak apalah, it's good. Jangan orang nak cut corners je, yang tu susah ya. Tapi kalau dia memang sincerely nak buat untuk business dia ke untuk apa, I never turn them down. Even if it's not related to my field, I akan linkkan. I akan kenal kawan, I akan pass over to friends, you know. So people like when we are welcoming macam tu, and then they will actually by word of mouth, ada kawan-kawan yang maybe related to our field, dia akan suggestkan kawan-kawan itu dengan kita. Selalu macam tu. Yes. I hope I answered your question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is clear. Yeah, there is any question?
Oh yes, and one more thing, don't forget to go through associations and NGOs. Yang tu one of the best place to get people. Yeah. If you are in, so you are in which area? Yeah. Learning, katalah learning. So look at associations. PIBG pun dah very huge actually. Any education association yang nampak bagus, it will consist of people who are similarly interested in say education. So go through associations, attend their education innovation fair ke, those are the right place. So bila ada education innovation fair apa semua, go there and the potential is just overwhelming. So many people there who might be interested in what you are doing, you can talk to them. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, there's some response in there. Yeah, they just take good tips from Prof. Yeah, sometimes we may not know that whether a single matters. I think it is really can give a very, very good impact to others. Sometimes we just don't know whether when we talk to someone, we can just share, and then maybe we can also promote ourselves to get more. I mean, people were getting know us, and then you can also expand the network. Is it, Prof?
Betul. Jangan risau. Kadang-kadang saya tahu ada orang risau kalau dia ramai sangat kenalan, nanti dia tak boleh nak balas dan sebagainya. Bagi saya kalau sibuk cakap je, I'm sorry, I'm very busy this week, can we get back to this next week. Tak apa, boleh je. Jangan risau but expand your network. Okay. Anything else? Saya nampak orang fakulti pendidikan ni, boleh tanya orang fakulti pendidikan.
So any more tips, Prof? So then you can be more motivated to share to integrate the innovation or research innovation. Yeah, even though especially for those who are in the social sciences, I think in social sciences we are think that our product is not something tangible. So how going to something like we will always feel a little bit inferiority complex. Ours, is lower. I think we're talking about the output of our research, because as you mentioned just now, we can also maybe copyrighted our module, our questionnaire, our survey question. I think, but some people may think that it is not really, have a kind of brave to do that. So maybe they don't know how to do that. So that's something I think maybe awareness that I think we have to expand. We have to encourage our social scientists to be involved in this kind of the effort.
One wonderful thing that I experience is that when I move out of academic community and talk to people from innovation community, you berasa sangat terbuka minda. Kebanyakan orang dalam innovation community, they are very welcoming. Sebab they have gone through a lot of hardship in trying to do what they're trying to do. So they orang sangat welcoming. Sebab orang pernah susah kan. So bila kita datang, dia tak rasa pun kita rasa idea kita sangatlah down kan, macam tak ni. But when I talk to them, they will boost my confidence. They will give a lot of input to enrich my idea tu sampai macam tadi lah. Saya tak pernah terfikir lah boleh buat macam ni. Dr. Siti Ngalim, I always say the same thing to my friends innovation. Bila saya throw an idea to them, even yesterday tu, Dia kata, Prof, you boleh buat macam ni, macam ni. Saya kata, yelah, tak pernah terfikir kan. So, dia orang tak kedekut nak share tips langsung, people in the innovation community, because they know you build on each other's idea. I share my opinions and ideas to them yang diorang tak nampak, and they share to me benda-benda I tak nampak. And that's how we come up with extraordinary things. Yeah. So, talk to people. Saya sangat-sangat rasa lively bila saya pergi ke education exhibition ke ataupun technology exhibition ke yang mana ada those kind of community. Sekarang dah tak boleh nak jumpa in person kan, tapi dulu kita selalu pergi jumpa, even online pun boleh. You talk to them. Saya pernah bawa student saya kelas master educational psychology. Everything apalah kaitan educational psychology dalam computerization. So saya dah mengajar dah dalam 7-8 minggu macam tu, saya tengok student dah start down dah. Sebab kan psikologi kan susah. You kena macam mana imagine benda-benda yang tak wujud depan mata kan. So dia dah start down. So saya bawa dia orang, saya kata okay, hari ni kita buka minda sikit. Saya bawa dia orang melawat ke galeri PSP, and saya cerita setiap satu innovation, dan saya cerita macam mana background saya psikologi dan saya boleh involve dengan innovation, dan macam mana innovation dalam psikologi can be commercialized, not necessarily dalam psikologi, but actually the usage is implemented in other disciplines, usage of psychology. Sebab psikologi kan quite generic. Kemudian saya ceritakan tentang produk-produk saya ada. Lepas tu and I asked them to explore, based on the inspiration, what kind of career dia orang boleh buat. And they come up, dia orang got very excited. In fact, that visit adalah benda yang dia orang selalu tulis dalam dia orang punya penilaian sebagai yang paling impactful dalam learning dia. Bukan kelas saya yang saya susah payah buat slide, yang buat permainan semua tu dia tak ingat sangat, tapi that visit is something yang to them very impactful and life changing, because it changes the way they see their prospects. Sebelum ni dia ingat semua keluar jadi psychologist ke, jadi lecturers ke, jadi nak buat, the most they think of is buat training center ke ataupun klinik, psikologi klinik. Tapi bila dia tengok tu, dia nampak it's limitless the kind of thing I can do, with my background in psychology, and they got very excited. So to me, this kind of inspiration yang kita nak buat kat student sebenarnya, supaya dia rasa semua nak belajar. To me, I want to put back fun in learning. I don't want people to, our students science ke social science ke, rasa belajar tu sangat seksa dan terpaksa kan. I want them to be excited and to feel, to live the every moment they are learning, whatever they are learning with us. Yeah.
I think especially learning always become a kind of focus of the student, I think.
Yes.
Career in the class.
Betul. And in fact, actually social science, to tell you the truth lah kan, bukan nak orang sains kat sini, social science punya innovation lagi senang nak commercialize. Dia punya pathway pendek. Kalau sciences, they have to go through many steps tau. Dia kena test lah, dia kena scale up lah, dia kena apa. Social science tak payah scale up. You can immediately do the most, you do pilot and then you terus boleh shoot at my scale. So social science sebenarnya yang paling senang nak commercialize, paling senang, dan boleh generate banyak income.
Okay, maybe that will be a next topic for CADe. I think focusing about how to engage the social science area, in terms of how to they promote their product, their innovation, their output. I think in the context of social sciences, I think maybe that will be the next. That something that CADe can organize, and we may invite Prof again. To share, because you also have many experience about how to patent it, how to copyright all the research innovation and research outputs. Is it correct? Our director, director Prof Wan, is it okay? Can become potential topic next time? Okay, Prof Wan. All right. Okay. I think anything else, Prof? So we can end, or you have anything to share?
That's all. Thank you so much, CADe, for being patient with me sebab banyak kali pun kena tunda hari tu. So thank you so much and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share. I'm very excited because I think there's a lot of things, especially for yang lecturers kat sini. Kalau nak go through stories pun boleh. Ada yang tadi saya tanya awal-awal tadi, dia kata kalau storytelling kan menarik. So saya boleh buat satu session storytelling je. Kita cerita kisah-kisah gembira, kisah-kisah kelakar dan kisah-kisah sedih. Boleh.
Oh, that would be fun. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Prof. So I think we really appreciate the insight. I mean the experience that you shared to us. I think even though I think we may think that there are too many jargon, new things that possibly some of us learn today, but at least we have a more awareness about this kind of effort. How we going to integrate our research innovation, research output into the teaching and learning, because otherwise our classroom will be dull. I think maybe student cannot see what will be they going to enter in the real world. So I think it is very good tips for us to, after this, maybe look back at our research planning, so that we can put this kind of one of the teaching class. Maybe we can input some of the share our research innovation, etc. Okay, so thank you very much again, Prof. So on behalf of the CADe or Center of Academic Development of UPM, I would like to thank for all the participation, for all the commitment today. So don't forget to complete the form. I think Google form that I think CADe Secretary has shared in the chat. And also, don't forget to join our possibly next CPD. I think you can always go to the CADe website to see the next CPD or net courses, which is very interesting for us, especially not only in terms of teaching and learning, but sometimes maybe other thing which can also improve our academic development. I think if there is there anything from the CADe Secretariat or Prof, the Director of CADe? No? Okay, so then I think maybe that's all for today. So I hope that you have learned something. Thank you very much for all.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, terima kasih banyak Prof.
Terima kasih.
Okay, sama. Alhamdulillah.